What's going on, everybody? Good morning. It's EGL Talks Football, and I'm back again with another video. Today, what we're going to be talking about is Kieran Tierney, linked to Manchester City. Of course, João Cancelo, linked to Arsenal. And Declan Reiss rumors are heating up ahead of the big summer transfer window coming up for every single club in world football. And West Ham seem to have already found their replacement for Declan Reiss as they eye a player from Eintracht Frankfurt over in the Bundesliga to come in to replace Declan Reiss. If I'm not wrong, it's Djibril Sow from Eintracht Frankfurt, 26-year-old, is the player that they're going to be looking to replace Declan Reiss with. So that gives Arsenal a big transfer boost. Plus, there's some other stories that we need to get into, such as Declan Reiss, rumors that Harry Kane could be leaving Tottenham on a free. Could he do a Sol Campbell 2.0? Reiss Nelson, and more. Make sure you do hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, as this is an early morning stream, and most of you guys will be watching this on a playback. So every single time you hit that like button, it helps push the channel out. And understand that the algorithm is not your friend, as my boy Terry would say. And it definitely does help EGL Talks Football out a lot if you guys do hit that like button and leave a comment down below on what you think of the transfers that we're going to be discussing today. Let's get this show started, and bang. Yes, people. What's going on? EGL Talks Football. We're back again with another video. And you know what? Today is going to be a kind of a different video where we're just going to talk a little bit about the transfers and whatever rumors that we see going around. First thing, I see Luke in the comments here talking about Thomas Partey. Well, if an offer came in for Thomas Partey, would you get rid of him? Honestly, I would consider moving on Thomas Partey, or at least getting somebody in that can upgrade us on Thomas Partey, because he's had a lot of injury issues, and injury issues have riddled him at his time at Arsenal. So that is one reason why I would consider putting him to the bench, or at least having someone up to his standard in the team that can come in and fill in whenever he is out or injured or anything like that. But one thing we have to also speak about is that Thomas Partey has been rumored that he might be injured at this moment in time, or he might have an injury because of all the stuff that's been floating around. There's been rumors floating around that Thomas Partey has been injured, coming from who is it? Sam Dean on an Arsenal podcast, where he mentioned the potential that Thomas Partey could be actually injured at this moment in time. So let's look at what they said. This is what the journalist has said. He suspects that injury might be affecting the 45 million pound Arsenal midfielder Thomas Partey. Thomas Partey's recent dip in form might be due to a undisclosed injury. Thomas Partey has dropped off a cliff in the past few games, and he's forgotten how to play football in some ways. Watching him against City on Wednesday, it was bizarre. I don't know about his fitness. I've not asked anybody, but I wouldn't be surprised if he was carrying something. If true, that could explain why Thomas Partey's recent decline in his performances. Personally, this is all speculative. This at this moment in time, this is a speculative story. There's no information on if he's actually injured or not. But from what we know about Thomas Partey, I wouldn't be surprised. I would not be surprised one bit that Thomas Partey is actually injured, or he's carrying some sort of injury, because his drop-off in performances lately has been horrendous. I am actually in shock how bad he's dropped off. And I'm not surprised at all that these stories are circulating about Thomas Partey's injuries. Would I sell Thomas Partey? Maybe. Maybe I would sell Thomas Partey if the right offer came in. What is the right offer for Thomas Partey, you ask? I honestly don't know. We would have to see what the offer is. But if someone came in with a decent offer to the table for Arsenal, and we could find ourselves, and we've already brought in Declan Reiss and Caicedo, maybe I would move on. Maybe I would move on Thomas Partey. But at the end of the day, he is getting older. He's gonna have to be shifted into more of a squad player in the future as he gets older. But at this moment in time, he could do a job for us maybe for another 2 years. but in the future we need to look for somebody in the future that can grow with this squad, because this squad is not going to be ready to win everything next season. We're going to need a lot more squad depth. We're going to need a lot more players, and Thomas Partey should not be dependent on as much as a game in, game out player. We should be able to rotate Thomas Partey in the future and still have quality players on the bench to come in for Thomas Partey. Kieran Tierney isn't going to City. We're going to get into Kieran Tierney to City. We're going to get into Caicedo. Caicedo would be such a good replacement for him. He's a strong player, and like Thomas Partey, you know what? A lot of people talking about Caicedo, so we might as well go straight into Caicedo stuff before we get into Declan Reiss. And I'll save your comment about thing. The thing about Brighton is Brighton are going to want ridiculous money. We already know Brighton are quoting crazy figures for their players. Brighton are in a strong situation. They don't need to sell. They're in the Premier League. They might be in Europe next season, and why would they sell some of their best players? But rumors coming up about Caicedo. This is what the rumors are currently saying about Caicedo. Caicedo had agreed to sign for Arsenal in January. This is from Fabrizio Romano, by the way. Fabrizio Romano stating that Caicedo had agreed to sign for Arsenal in January. This is we've already known that he wanted to join Arsenal, but this is just now confirming even more that what we already knew, that he was pretty much almost done and dusted to join Arsenal at the time, and that's impressive in my opinion. So Romano says Caicedo had already agreed to sign for Arsenal in January, and on the previous transfer attempts, according to Fabrizio Romano, he's already agreed personal terms with Arsenal in the January transfer window. For Caicedo, for him to keep going with English clubs, Arsenal would have to bid at least 70 million, and it was rejected. And then really wanted the player. He agreed personal terms. Let's see if Arsenal returned in with an official bid. Things would be interesting. That's what he said previously. And then logic suggests that Arsenal could go back in for Caicedo again in the summer and get the deal done. But suddenly it may not be straightforward for the Gunners. Indeed, not only does Caicedo remain an incredibly expensive player, since has signed a new contract with Brighton. And since he's now signed that new contract with Brighton, it makes it a lot harder for us to get him, right? Of course, Arsenal is still much richer and much more prestigious than Brighton, but in modern football, deals with talented players, agents are difficult. Arsenal may go back to square one and want to try to close the deal for Caicedo at the end of the summer, but it's going to be extremely difficult, ladies and gentlemen, as we already know everything that's gone on with Caicedo. I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised if we went back in for Caicedo, but I also wouldn't be surprised if it was extremely difficult to get the deal done, ladies and gentlemen. Make sure you guys do hit that like button, though. Hit that subscribe button right now, people, and let me know what you guys are saying. I can't believe you let Bice on vibes in the 6 in a suit when he is there in 12. Yeah, man, he came on a suit and tie in the business when he was sitting like 11th. Hit that like button, rude boys. Big up my guy Air Max 90 King in the house. I think you're in America. Shout out to you. People talking about Kieran Tierney. Kieran Tierney isn't going to City. He'll play even less. He doesn't. Than he does at Arsenal. It doesn't even that good, and injuries more than he's available. I don't know if he's going to be going to Manchester City, but we're going to talk about that in a second. Make sure you guys do hit that like button and let me know what you guys are saying in the comments. If you guys want to comment down below, all you have to do is subscribe and you can comment down below. But before we go any further, make sure you guys do let me know what you guys think about Caicedo, because if it's between Caicedo and Reiss, I want both. I don't want to pick. I want both. Nah, man. Woolwich, London. Big up. Air Max is in London. Hey, okay. My guy's in. I thought you were stateside for some reason. But yeah, when it comes to Arsenal, there's just been so many different stories, so many different links. But one of the main things that we've been hearing lately is, of course, the Kieran Tierney story. So let me give you guys a little education on what the Kieran Tierney story is. So for anyone who doesn't know, here's the story about Kieran Tierney. Kieran Tierney has been linked to a move to Manchester City, and it's reported that Pep Guardiola, of course, wants him. right? So this is why all these rumors are floating about. Now, I'm gonna read the story to you guys, and then I'm after gonna give you guys my take on what I think about Kieran Tierney and why and what we should potentially do with Kieran Tierney. Now, you guys let me know if you'd be okay to sell Kieran Tierney in the chat. Just put a thumbs up or thumbs down, depending on if you would sell him or if you wouldn't sell him. Now, Manchester City are actively working to find a deal and can get one done with Arsenal defender Kieran Tierney. It's understood that Tierney is open to a move, and privately, Arsenal believe that the value for the Scotsman is around 30 million. Football Insider, which is somewhat credible, but it's not the most reliable because they've gotten a lot of stories wrong or they've gone too early on stories in the past, are saying that basically they could hijack Newcastle's move. Now, personally, for me, this is what I think on Kieran Tierney. I don't think we should sell Kieran Tierney to anybody within the Premier League. I think selling him to Newcastle, selling him to Manchester City, either or would be a mistake. I think we should not sell Kieran Tierney within the Premier League. I think if we do get rid of Kieran Tierney, we should look for suitors outside of the Premier League or somebody who's not actually going to be competitive with us, as Newcastle and Manchester City are going to be in and around our area of where we're going to be looking for points and wins. And honestly, it would hurt if we were if something happened to our team where we fell down the pecking order and a Newcastle, Aston Villa, or Man City got Kieran Tierney and he raised their levels and we were missing that left back. I wouldn't want that. So if we were to sell Kieran Tierney, one, we have to have an adequate replacement or a backup left back to come in, or somebody who's versatile who can play in that position and also can help us out in center half positions. That would be key. Or you need to keep Kieran Tierney and give him opportunities and play him and plug him in when need be. Because Mikel Arteta has done a poor job with rotation and has now left us with a frustrated player in Kieran Tierney. But I believe Kieran Tierney is a quality player. I believe Kieran Tierney is a player who would be willing to play his role, and he's not somebody who's caused a lot of problems or been angry. So I don't know why Mikel Arteta is not giving him more opportunities. I personally would give Kieran Tierney more opportunities going forward. I think Kieran Tierney is a quality player, and I just don't understand why Mikel Arteta doesn't give him more opportunities to play. I know that Kieran Tierney is not the same as Zinchenko, but when you clearly can see Zinchenko struggling, you should take him out of the firing line and you should play somebody else. We have enough rotation, and in one position where we are strong in is in left back. So with Tomiyasu able to play there, Kieran Tierney able to play there, and other players also able to fill in that left back position, why don't you give the guy some opportunity, especially in these games where we weren't performing well? I know he was in the West Ham game and he didn't do so well also, but against Liverpool, you brought him on just after we conceded. You could have probably brought him on earlier. We maybe wouldn't have conceded that goal. You never know. Defensively, he's there. Offensively, he can contribute. But when it comes to playing the inverted role, he hasn't mastered that yet. But until you give him more opportunities to play in that system in match day experience and get match day experience with us, you're not going to be able to see him in those situations. I think Kieran Tierney has been given a hard task to just sit back and relax and taking the role. But he should be given more opportunities. Mikel Arteta should be giving him more opportunities, and that is just disappointing to see. Would you trust Nuno to or get a replacement? No. Nuno Tavares is worse than Kieran Tierney. Nuno Tavares is basically a left winger, bro. Or a left mid. He is not a left back. He is not a defender. He can't defend. He's absolutely useless. Now, people are going to say Zinchenko is useless. Well, at least Zinchenko can control the ball and in tight spaces, and he won't lose it. Nuno Tavares doesn't have that sense of control. It seems like whenever the ball comes to him, it kind of just bounces off him and it goes in any which way or direction. So I personally would stay clear of Nuno Tavares, and I would personally sell Nuno Tavares. I think whatever money we can get for Nuno Tavares would be great. And I think Nuno Tavares, his time at Arsenal is done, in my opinion. That's just me, though. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Let me know what you guys think about Kieran Tierney, because I want to know, right? And if you're watching this on the playback, let me know what you guys think about the Kieran Tierney story also, because I don't think there's anything there with the Kieran Tierney story. I just think that is just going to probably fade away. You're going to see that slowly and surely just fade away and drift away as the story goes away. Now we are linked to some right backs. We've been linked to Rado Baku. We've been linked to all these other players in the past in that right back position, but now we're linked to an Ajax right back. Um, I'm not too familiar with him, but it looks like Brighton are also looking at this guy as their potential right back target. So Arsenal are careful following the right back um, Devyne Rensch, and Brighton seem to be most ahead in talks. Brighton would like to complete the transfer with the player quickly. It seems like Brighton are looking to get this signing over the line, but Arsenal are also looking at him. I don't know too much about this player personally, but as let's just pay attention to this and see if it progresses as the season goes on and as the summer comes near and near. We'll see if this is something that actually comes to light and we see more information on this, because right now this is just paper talk, and it is a reliable it is somewhat reliable source in Samiti. He's gotten a lot of things right before, so we'll have to wait and see, right? Arsenal have given academy youngster a new professional contract in Michael Rusowski. Not Rusowski. Why did I say Rusowski? What else is there? Oh, Arsenal's going to play Manchester United. Oh, here we go. So we've already spoken about this in the previous videos, but Pablo Marie and Nicolas Pepe are rumored to most likely not be returning to Arsenal. You most likely will not be seeing Nicolas Pepe or Pablo Marie back in an Arsenal kit next season, as they're rumored to be sold. This rumor came out the other day, and I'm quite happy with that. I'm very happy that Arsenal are looking to move on the dead wood. I don't want these guys in and around the squad next season. I personally don't want them in the team ever again. I'm happy to move on Nicolas Pepe, and I'm quite disappointed that it didn't work out with Pepe, because when we signed him, I was so excited about the signing. But it's unlikely that they're ever going to return to Arsenal. It's unlikely that they play again for the club. So that is a positive, and that's a net positive in my opinion. But yeah, moving on to the next story. The next story is an interesting one. We are linked to João Cancelo. Now, the links to Cancelo are quite interesting. Right? So the Cancelo links are basically fan-led rumors and just speculation based on the fact that Manchester City would be willing to let him go. So Man City will be willing to let Cancelo go. How much they would be willing to let him go for, we'll need to find out in the summer. But he's currently on loan to Bayern Munich, and Bayern Munich might be willing to buy him. We don't know yet. So Bayern Munich are the favorites to probably buy him because he's currently on loan at Bayern Munich. But if he was to potentially to join Arsenal, what are your thoughts? So let me know your thoughts. Cancelo to Arsenal. Let me know your thoughts. He's a right back who can play as an inverted left back, and he can play as a right back. He would give us cover on both sides, and he's a quality player. This was a player who over the last couple of seasons with Manchester City has contributed to several titles, Carabao Cups, FA Cups, and major trophies with them. And he was highly touted at Juventus, highly touted at Man City. The only question we have is over his attitude. Now, people in the comment section saying no, some people saying yes, some people saying cost. We have other priorities. Some people worrying about money. He might his buyout clause is 70 million, and he's the highest wages, which is over 200K per week. So I think just before we post nonsense, you know what, this guy makes a valid point. He makes a valid point right there, because he might cost a lot of money. What else do we have? People saying get him. He can play right back, free up Ben White to play center back for rotation, 100%. Defensively worse than Zinchenko. Too attacking in the midfield to control, and attitude problems. With that being said, a lot of people have some concerns. Some people have concerns. Some people saying yes. Some people saying no. I don't want another Zinchenko that can't defend. Some people making some good points, and then some people just ending up making jokes. Personally, for me, I would be down with Caicedo and all these other signings. But Cancelo, the attitude problem is the worry. The wages is a valid worry. And then the final thing is, Will Manchester City sell to Arsenal ever again? Will Manchester City sell another player to Arsenal to strengthen us? I don't think they will. I think this is something that will he'll end up going to Bayern. He'll end up leaving the Premier League. I don't see how João Cancelo to Arsenal actually happens because if I'm not mistaken, they sold us Zinchenko, they sold us Jesus, and they kind of regretted it because it strengthened us and it put us in a situation where we're competing with them this season and they don't want to strengthen their rivals too much. So I generally do believe João Cancelo to Arsenal will not happen. But if it does happen, it would be very interesting because logistically he would be our highest paid player. He would be costing around 70 million or 50 million, and I just think we have other priorities at this moment in time over João Cancelo. I don't think João Cancelo is a priority for us, and I don't know if we're going to spend that type of money on João Cancelo. That's just me, and let me know what you guys think in the comments. If you agree, if you disagree, or just how you think this is going to end up playing out. Um, by Declan Rice. By Declan Rice, he can play center half, right back, right wing, striker. Sell Partey, Xhaka, Holding, Reiss Nelson, Nuno Tavares, Balogun, all these guys. Bro, you're selling a lot of players. You're selling a lot of players. Arsenal need two profile midfielders. I fully agree there. Personally, for me, I would go for Caicedo and Rice, or at least Latvia and Rice. I think no matter what, Declan Rice is going to be bought, but who's the other person that we buy? People saying Caicedo and Rice, I agree there. No, I don't disagree there. Igal, do you believe the news that Arsenal don't want Cancelo? Forget, my friend. Uh, follow the trusted sources. A lot of rumors now until the summer. Yeah, once we get closer to the summer, I'll be able to do that. But you know what we do. We cover the fake news and the real news to see which ones are real, which ones are fake. That's just what we do here at Egal Talks Football. We don't leave stories that we don't fully trust, just in the case that they do become true. Now, just to talk about Reiss Nelson quickly, AC Milan are seriously interested in acquiring Reiss Nelson services. Reiss Nelson services has been seriously approached by AC Milan. Now, AC Milan are not playing games. AC Milan want Reiss Nelson for a really good deal. They want him on a free, and they're looking to acquire services on a free transfer. If they can get Reiss Nelson would be headed to Italy for a free transfer, and they could offer him more than Arsenal would right now. Arsenal would have to increase their offer, but the source is not the most credible source. Calamatasio, we know about them. They've made a lot of crazy statements before, but AC Milan are seriously considering signing Reiss Nelson in the summer as a free, and this is the first we're hearing about it. Now, if you're Reiss Nelson, would you leave Arsenal on a free, or would you play as a backup role? You've been in the Arsenal academy for years. This might be the opportunity for you to just leave on a high. You've contributed this season slightly to a team that was challenging for a league. You've come off the bench and given us some good performances. Personally, for me, I would keep him and give him a new contract and potentially sell him next season once we can actually get some transfer value for him. We don't want to lose out on young academy players on freeze, but of course, it's on Reiss Nelson, and if he wants to stay, I would think Reiss Nelson, it would be good for him to um, almost 3 a.m. Just got home from work. Working. Big up to you, Gunner. BX Gunner 81 in the chat. People, don't forget to hit that like button. We got 34 of you guys in the chat. But yeah, when it comes to Reiss Nelson, I would say I would give it to him. I'd give him a new contract. I would give him probably 37 to. I would give him 37 mil. I'd give him no, not 37 mil. I would give him between 35K to 60K. No crazy wages, because he hasn't proven it, and there has to be stipulations. Arsenal should put a transfer ban on selling players to City. 100%, 100% A force. We should. But yeah, I think if I'm Reiss, I would leave Arsenal, because you've had so many years where you haven't been a priority at the club. And if you stay, you might still not be a priority at the club. But we want to keep him because we don't want to lose our youngsters for freeze. But similar to Eddie and Ketia, if we let him go, I don't think too many of the people in the fan base will be upset. He's a quality player. Maybe he just needs a new opportunity somewhere else, and I think he really would be good at certain clubs in certain leagues. Like if he went back to the Bundesliga, he would kill it. If he went to Italy, he would do great. If he stayed in the Premier League and went to a lower club like Brighton, and he would ball out at Brighton. I really want to see what Reiss Nelson does next, but I just don't think he's going to stay at Arsenal. I think we need a better, more quality player as a backup to Bukayo Saka, and Reiss Nelson just hasn't pushed him enough. Reiss Nelson also hasn't been given enough time in game time to push him also. So it's also on Mikel Arteta to give him more game time. And if you guys know what happened yesterday was an eye-opener to me, because Brighton, what they did yesterday really opened my eyes to what Mikel Arteta's mistakes this season. Brighton beat Wolves 6-0 yesterday. Brighton beat Wolves 6-0 yesterday. And what this showed me was you don't need a bench full of quality players in every position to be able to what do you call it, rotate in the Premier League. You just need a system that allows you to rotate in certain players, and you need to trust those certain players that you're going to rotate with. And I just feel like Mikel Arteta makes some mistakes where he doesn't trust his rotation, and he doesn't make the rotation when need be. Hence why this makes a thing. You don't need world-class players in every position to rotate at a high level. That's just the reality. And sometimes Mikel Arteta makes those mistakes. Like this Brighton game was an eye-opener because of who they had in their team. They absolutely battered Wolves, and they didn't have Matoma, they didn't have Caicedo, they didn't have McAllister, and they battered Wolves. If that's not an eye-opener to everybody, I don't know what's going to be an eye-opener. Mikel Arteta and the ownership, you don't need everything to be perfect to be successful. At Arsenal Football Club, sometimes we make too many excuses for our failures. We cannot excuse replacing Arsene Wenger with the club falling apart. We cannot excuse missing out one player on an injury in William Saliba as the whole team falling apart. We have to be able to manage those issues better as a club, and we also have to look at the manager to manage those issues better as a manager. That's just me, but the reality is that's what happened yesterday. We let people get away with it because we like them, but the reality is Mikel Arteta did not manage the situation as good as he could have. He could have done much better at managing the situation, and that is where he felt he left a little short. We have to be honest. Sure, you need a good bench. Brighton is great team and recruited exceptionally, and first team in the Premier League with top talents. 100%, definitely very talented team. Now, I'm just gonna ask you guys a quick question, and I asked this question yesterday to everyone in the chat, and I'm gonna ask you guys now: do we have a chance of signing someone crazy? This will be insane. Now, I asked this question in the community. Will Harry Kane ever join Arsenal on a free transfer? Is that even possible? Is that even remotely possible? So yesterday I asked this, will Harry Kane ever join Arsenal on a free transfer? The reason why I asked it is because Harry Kane is potentially available for a free transfer very soon, and 73% of you guys said no, he'll never join Arsenal. But the reason why I ask is because yesterday we were talking about this. Tottenham Hotspur striker is considering running down his contract and leaving on a free in 2024. Let's be honest. We could do a Sol Campbell 2.0 with Harry Kane, but it's more likely he ends up at Man United because he's such a Tottenham legend. This is a guy who potentially wanted to play for Arsenal so bad that he was willing to be a goalkeeper. This is his boyhood club. What makes you think he wouldn't want to come back? I think there is a possibility that Arsenal could potentially sign Harry Kane, but it would be this would be a crazy transfer. I don't think there's a chance that he would ever want to do it, but it's very unrealistic, especially as Man United is an alternative. If there's no alternative and Arsenal's the only option, even though he's pushing 31, he's still a quality player. The guy could play as a striker, and he could even play as a 10. Would I sign him? Probably not. Will it ever happen? Probably not. Would I like to do it just to piss off Tottenham? Probably would. But it's not practical. It's not practical. It's not realistic. It really and truly, it's not going to ever happen. It's not going to ever happen. I would love it to happen, but no, it's never going to happen. That's kind of how I feel. That's kind of how I feel. If we had Kane, we would have won the league this season. Yeah, 100%. If we had Kane this season, we would have definitely won the league, Jacobs. Definitely, 110%. We would have won the league this season if we had Harry Kane, but we don't. Yeah, he's a legend of Spurs. Spent all his life there. For me, he will not come. Let's be realistic. I know. I'm just kind of throwing it out there to see what people have to say. It is an interesting conversation, though. Very interesting conversation, just to see what people have to say on that topic. But yeah. And finally, let's go to the Declan Rice story. Never, never, never say never, though. You know what? I think we can say never, bro. He played in the Arsenal's youth. Jack Napier watching it this early in the morning. Big up, Jack. Yeah, man, he did play in the Arsenal youth team, and he really wanted to make it at Arsenal. He never made it at Arsenal. That might be what pushes him to one day want to join Arsenal. You never know. You never know. Now, let's see what Saliba update. Update on Saliba's contract. Update on Saliba's contract, ladies and gentlemen, because we need to find out what's going on with Saliba's contract. Why hasn't it been signed yet? Why hasn't Saliba's contract been signed yet? But hell no to Kane. He's shit. David Onstein gives an update on Harry Kane on William Saliba's contract on the 5 podcast. He says there is a big picture in that he's out of contract in summer 2024. We haven't heard anything suggesting that an agreement is close place yet for that, despite agreements with Saka and Martinelli. No update yet on Saliba's contract extension. Arsenal is heading into a situation where they remain keen and focused. I personally think this doesn't make sense. Like, the man was willing to risk his career to come back from injury to play for Arsenal. I don't think there's any way where we don't get him signed down to a new contract. I don't think there's any worry. There's no need to worry. This is last time they actually spoke. They said things are progressing well with William Saliba's contract information. So there's not much to really be concerned about here, guys. We don't have to worry. As Arsenal fans, we should have a level of calmness with the William Saliba situation, because I do think there is not much to worry about. He is going to end up signing very, very soon, and we're going to be fine. We're going to be fine. Now, Mason Mount has been linked a lot. I don't know about, you know what? Forget about the Mason Mount links. I'm just going to show you guys the Declan Rice stuff. So this is what has been floating about with the Declan Rice story, and I've been seeing it. I seen it today as I was scrolling about on socials, and Declan Rice seems to be closer and closer to Arsenal. Yes, Declan Rice seems to be closer and closer to Arsenal. Arsenal have gotten a transfer boost for Declan Rice, and I think it's going to help us a lot going forward to see how we do in signing Declan Rice and how much we get him for. Reports are that West Ham is looking at Eintracht Frankfurt player in replacement for Declan Rice. This is who they're looking at. So West Ham is looking at Eintracht Frankfurt's De Burrils as a potential replacement for Declan Rice. The head of recruitment, Rob Newman, believes that he's watched the Swiss international last week in the Bundesliga class with Dortmund, and Declan Rice could be looking to move to Arsenal in the summer. The 26-year-old is on the short list to replace Rice, who's leaving in the summer, in favor for Arsenal, of course. So yeah. And this is another thing that we've been seeing a lot. We've been seeing this a lot. Declan Rice and Mason Mount to Arsenal. So let's just talk about this for a second. Let's just talk about this for a second. I understand why Arsenal want Declan Rice, and I kind of get why the links to Mount are coming about. Personally, for me, this is my take. I would take Rice. I'll be happy with Declan Rice. I think Declan Rice is a quality player, and I think he improves us immediately. Mason Mount is also a quality player, and I think Mason Mount improves us also. But the thing about Mason Mount is he has a lot of bad PR around his name because Chelsea are bad right now. Chelsea have not been performing well, and when you see Mason Mount links, it is a very underwhelming link. Let's keep it 100. Mason Mount is an underwhelming name. Declan Rice, to some people, is very underwhelming. They're both English, and I kind of get why some people see their faults and they don't really praise their skill sets. Now, we would be looking at Declan Rice as a potential Partey upgrade, and we'd be looking at Mason Mount as a potential Xhaka upgrade. Now, let's be honest. Mason Mount does contribute more with GA than Xhaka does. This season, Xhaka has been a little bit better. This season is Xhaka's best season contributing in attacking end. He has 5 goals and 5 assists. This has been Mason Mount's worst season at Chelsea so far. What has he contributed this season? He's already contributed this season in a poor season. He's already contributed 3 goals and 2 assists. Let's be honest. Mason Mount, when it comes to that advanced attacking 8 role, will be better than Xhaka. Is he better than Xhaka right now this season? No. Is Declan Rice better than Partey? I think Declan Rice is better than Partey when it comes to what we need. And Declan Rice can also play that 8 role. Rice is going to be a quality DM we need. Is Declan Rice going to be the quality DM that we need? I think he will be. I think Declan Rice has the ability to drive, turn, and attack at players. Declan Rice has the ability to do a lot of things that we need in a 6, and he can also even play as an 8. I personally, though, wouldn't sign Mason Mount because I don't think he is. I don't think he's the profile that we need. I would want 2 players of the ilk of a Caicedo or Latvia, one of those 2 with a Rice instead of another attacking option in Mason Mount. I think a midfield of Mason Mount, Rice, and Odegaard looks kind of weak and is very weak defensively, where if we got a Latvia and a Rice or a Caicedo, Rice, Odegaard, that is a stronger midfield for me to build off of going forward. Defense is how you win titles. Defense is how you win championships. And we've seen with our defense capitulating over the last couple of weeks that we want strong defenders and strong midfielders. You win your games in the midfield. I want warriors in the midfield. I don't want Mason Mount in my midfield. I think he's a quality player, and for the price that we could be getting him from Chelsea, it would be a steal. And if Liverpool get him or anybody else get him, it will be a great price. But personally, for me, I could play. I think Rice could play in that 8 role. Rice has shown that he can contribute with goals. He can get forward. He can score goals. He can play as a center mid. And let's be honest, Xhaka's not really an 8. Xhaka is really more of just a regular central midfielder who's box to box. So Odegaard can be the attacking midfielder. Rice can be the box to box who can help defensively and offensively, and then you get a Caicedo or a Latvia behind them to do all the defensive works, mop up, and all the and receive the ball, turn and build up, similar to how Thomas Partey is doing right now. And I think for me, I'm done with the Thomas Partey 6 by himself role. I think we need another player who's as good defensively to help in that 8 role. Now, Xhaka, we've always spoken about Xhaka's liability when it comes to his recovery pace. If you have a 8 like a Rice, and you have a 6 like a Caicedo or a Latvia, that gives you more solidity going forward. Let's be honest, and we can view Declan Rice as our Gundogan, where when we want him to play as a 6 against teams that are more defensive and like a lower down the table that we need them to break a low block, you play Reiss in the 6, and you play Xhaka, or you play somebody else in that 8 role. But when we are facing top teams where we need to defend, that's where you need the double pivot of a Reiss and a Caicedo, or a Reiss and a Latvia to push you on to the next level. I really do believe that's the way we need to go moving forward, and that's where I probably would keep away from Caicedo. That's where I would keep away from Mason Mount. Mason Mount on his own, you know what? I agree. Well said. Big up Ahmed Jama. As a Chelsea fan, Mount is the best player in the 8. He can be a great 8. I understand that he could be a great 8, my guy. But just let me take this in. He is amazing for Chelsea when he's attacking and going forward in that 8 role. We already kind of have Odegaard in that role. We're basically going to have 2 attacking players in that system, and Mason Mount would be a quality add. But we cannot forget that I feel like if we sign Mason Mount, we're going to leave ourselves short in the defensive midfield area, where I think Reiss would be well suited to be playing besides Partey or beside another 6 that can defend. You could look at Reiss as your DM as you wish, but I still think we need 2 midfielders that add to this team that go both ways. I want a central midfielder and I want a defensive midfielder. I view Reiss as the central midfielder, and Mason Mount, I would put him in the same bracket as an Odegaard, somebody who's more attacking. And do you want a midfield of Odegaard, Declan Rice, and Mason Mount? Do you view that midfield as amazing? It kind of reminds me of Bernardo Silva, Gundogan, and Kevin De Bruyne. But who's going to be our Rodri? Is it going to be Partey? Is Partey going to be able to do it for the next 2 to 3 years? These are the questions we have to ask ourselves. But yeah, T1, big up for the super chat. Really do appreciate the super chat, my guy. Yeah, real one right there. I'm going to star you. Make sure. I think that's Australian dollars. Big up all the way in Australia. Now, Arsenal are in the Champions League. We are shopping different market players, signings. We need players like Reiss signing to push Saka and Martinelli, etc. 100%. 100%. Reiss and Caicedo need to be priorities. The problem is everyone's going to want Caicedo. I think we should go for Latvia. I think we should go for the guy at Southampton. I think he's just as good as Caicedo, and I think he's proven that he can play at the top level. He absolutely bossed us at the Emirates. I think that's the guy we should be going for. People saying, look at Rashford. He was crap for ages, and then Man United bring in a manager that develops players, and he's the best player in the league. I think Mason Mount could be the same. I don't disagree there. I'm not making fun of Mason Mount. I'm just saying the profile of players that I think we need to bring in the summer to improve this team. I don't know what Mason Mount's defensive work's like. I don't know what Mason Mount's defensive work is like. I've seen him going forward and attacking. I haven't seen his defensive numbers. I haven't watched Chelsea in that way. You know, when I watch Chelsea, I kind of just watch the ball, see what's going on. You know, when you're a fan of the club, you really can pay attention to little details of what players do. I don't really do that with other clubs. When I'm watching the game with other clubs, I kind of just watch the game. Where when I'm watching Arsenal, I pick up all the miniature details of Arsenal players. I rewatch games. I rewatch everything about Arsenal. Where when I'm watching other teams, I'm kind of watching it, and sometimes I'm on my phone. Sometimes I'm doing other things. Where when I'm watching Arsenal, I'm more dialed in. I'm more focused. You know what I mean? So Chelsea fans maybe can tell me a little bit more about Mason Mount. We have a Chelsea preview coming up. Maybe I'm going to ask Chelsea fans on there what they think. Arteta did not rotate enough. Arteta don't rotate when he needs to a higher level backup in. You don't need backups in every position to be competitive. You just need to be able to rotate and manage your team well. People saying sell this, that. No, it's time you add to what you have, not sell. 100% T1. 100%. It's time to improve, not to get rid. Balogun, Eddie Nketiah holding Xhaka need to be offloaded. I don't think Xhaka needs to be offloaded, but holding definitely needs to go. Eddie Nketiah, you can keep him or leave him. I don't care. Balogun, we should cash in. We should cash in on Balogun as soon as possible. And Mason Mount, if Mount Ball at Arsenal will be so sweeter because he took him from Chelsea. Chelsea fans don't really like Mason Mount. A lot of Chelsea fans want to get rid of Mason Mount. So it's not really a W if they don't want him at their club. Just saying. Anyways, I'm gonna wrap this up, guys. I'm gonna have vibes from the six later tonight at 9 o'clock. I'm gonna do it at 9 o'clock, hopefully. So yeah, 9 o'clock. I'm gonna do vibes from the six. Keep it locked, guys. Big up everyone in the chat. More six players: Declan Rice, Caicedo. Matoma's gonna cost like 70 mil. Matoma's gonna cost a lot of money. I don't think we're gonna be able to buy Matoma. Mason Mount is in a poor team. In a team like Arsenal, he scores at least 10 goals and gets 8 or 12 assists. I don't disagree there. I think at Arsenal he could definitely improve massively. But yeah, big up to T1 for the super chat. Really do appreciate it, my guy. Big up to everyone who's been watching the stream. It's been a very early morning stream. I'm gonna wrap it up here. You guys have yourselves a wonderful day. Hopefully anybody watching this on the playback and has gotten up to this point, leave a like on the goddamn video. Hit that subscribe button if you're new. And don't forget, you can become a channel member if you guys also want to become channel members. I'm out of here for now. I'll let you guys be, and I'll be back later tonight for Vibes from the 6 at 10 p.m. 9 p.m. I'll catch you guys then. Peace.